Hey everyone, it is June the 20th, 2025. Welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community meeting. On the agenda today, I think last I checked, we only have one agenda, which is my topic. Let me share my screen first. So we created another lab project, another repo in the OCMIO org. So this is a lab repo, and the reason we created this repo is we gotten some community feedback regarding, hey, we have these projects that we've been working on. We use OCMIO. We're creating this, for example, a operators wrapping the cluster admin CLI, and then we want to contribute that project. And in order to get into the OCMIO, or we want the code to be reviewed extensively, and then it also have matches the community intent. And for some of the project, we're still gouging on the community interest, so it doesn't. So we don't think landing on the OCMI org right away is the correct approach. So the compromises that we decide on is, hey, why don't we create another repo, lab repo, so to host some of these experimental projects. And this is not something new that we invented. I mean, we obviously took inspiration from the Argo project, which they have a Argo Proj Dash Labs that hosts a lot of these kind of experimental type of projects. But we decided to keep it all in within the OCMI org lab repo because our community is obviously not as big as the Argo Proj. So if we create another separate org, we might fragment the community, and then and the whole point of having this project is to gauge the community interest on the experimental stuff that the community have been doing. So putting on a separate repo might putting on a separate GitHub org might divert the attention. So we decided to just leave it in the org with the lab project set up, with a lab repo setup, kind of similar, also took inspiration from our add-on contributor project, right? In this repo, all our different add-ons, the Cube add-on, Federated Learning, Argo CD Agent, they're all bundled in here. And then each of them are kind of their own independent project with their own code, etc. Right? So the inspiration comes from both of them, and then we decided to make the lab repo this way. As you can see, the nice little OCMIO logo with the flash that's taking the inspiration from the Argo Project Labs, where they the Argo logo, and then they have flash to indicate that it's more like a laboratory type of thing. So there's not much in this repo right now. We're planning to discuss what should be onboarded. One of the project is we're thinking of onboarding is I think the OCM VS Code extension. So this extension was contributed by the community. I mean, it's hasn't been maintained that extensively, but it's a really good project that we feel like it provides some benefits to the community. So rather than having it in its own repo, we'll probably move it to the new lab repo. And then another project is what Shujao presented in the last community meeting, right? The dashboard project, and that's a little bit, in kind of like an alpha phase where we're gauging some interest. So it can be it can be in here as well while we kind of incubate a bit before we kind of promote it into the main org. And then the rest of the content kind of talk about the governance around the project, like how do you onboard a new project. So before just creating a PR and submitting something, we kind of want the whoever is contributing to discuss with the maintainers, maybe in our Slack channels, or open a thread, or DM us directly, or if they have not opened an issue, to propose the idea first, right? So once we kind of have that acknowledgement, right, then they can create a PR, and in that PR, it'll be similar to the add-on contribute. You create a folder specific for your project, and then you add your codes and documentation there. So within the project, we want to leverage the owner's file, the Kubernetes standard, and then within the project they have their own individual owner's file similar to in our OCM project. And if we look at the different approvers, right, at the root level, there's there's these users, GitHub users, and then if you look down at different part of the project, for example, placement, you'll have these following approvers, reviewers, and then you look at work, you'll have different owners, etc. And then you look at operator, it'll be another different set. So following this type of structure in the lab, each individual projects are most likely going to be independent, and they have their own owner files. And the owner files are basically for if you create an issue or create some PRs related to that issue, we related to that project, we can assign them. So that's basically it. Where we're trying to create this lab repo and hope to gauge more community interest on. Um, some other standard things like if we create an issue, like how do you represent which issues for which project? We kind of have a little convention, so to speak. So, for example, if it's a dashboard issue, you put the folder name, which is dashboard, and then dash whatever the bug is, and then when you open a PR, you'll have something the similar convention as well. So nothing too exciting, but we created this. We will hopefully kind of shrink our repo counts as well. Maybe some of the stuff here can go into the lab project. I mean, in the lab repo, as well as get more contribution from the community. So, any questions? And the governance stuff, open to any suggestions or changes here. This is something we just hacked up one night because we really wanted some contribution from the community. So happy
And
to. Yep.
yeah, I have a question about the commit. So it seems to onboard a project to this repo, we have to create a new folder under this project. And if one project is GA, and we move our code from the folder to independent GitHub repo in this org, right? So how we keep our commit histories in this process?
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, we will lose out on some of the commit history, right? So
Mm.
rather than just moving and delete, what do you think about just like it's kind of like archival, that type of thing? But so in each independent project, I guess besides the owner file, it should obviously have their own readme as well. So for example, if we go on to the add-on contribute, what's a good example? Keep on. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. So there's their own readme. So when we feel like okay, this is ready for what do you call it, graduation or whatever. In terms of the project going into the main org, we can put like a notice here, similar to
mm,
what we do when we archive repos. Like for example, when we archive like the subscription, we put a
mm,
little warning here, right?
mm,
And then we wouldn't delete the folder, so to speak. We'll just keep the folder around, and then you can have the old repo, and the new repo in the OCMI org, and the new repo we might even references, right? Hey, graduate from here. If you want to look for some of the commit history, refer back to here, that type of thing.
oh,
How about that?
mm. I have
If,
another concern. Yeah, for this point, I got it, the progress. My another concern is how is about the contributor. For example, if I'm a community user, I create an integration with OCM, and I'm using it in my own company's project, right? So I want to contribute it to the community to OCM.io. Then I have to put my code into this repo. But I also have my downstream. So it means my downstream is not my repo, but the parent repo of my repo. Uh, do you, am I express myself clear? So
no, I completely understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like if I'm a downstream user, I have to import other repos. Maybe I'm not interested.
So not how do I say? Not every project
Mhm.
needs to go through this phase of onboard to the lab first, and then
Oh,
and then we slowly migrate to OCMIO. And
mm,
maybe I need to make that clearly as well on the README.
oh,
So that's not our intention, right? This this is more like if you put it in this project, if you put it in this location, if you put it in this repo, you fully understand what you just described, right? It's going to be a little bit tricky to deal with either the downstreaming, the productization, or whatever. But you're willing to do that because you want to get some community feedback.
mm,
So far, based on what we discussed with the someone who's willing to put in their code over to
mhm,
this board, that hasn't been a concern yet.
oh,
But yeah, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement to do this for us accepting contribution. And thank you for that. I should make that really really clear because that's a key point.
mm,
Yeah, so I think one thing that is we need to figure out for this repo and also the Helm chart repo is we don't have a very good mechanism like to automatically upload the Helm chart or push the image to the Helm chart repo. Not sorry, not this repo, but the add-on contrib repo. So for example, in the add-on contrib repo, we have several different projects, and each project has a Helm charts. So today we need to maybe manually upload the Helm chart into the Helm charts repo. There's not there's an there isn't a good way to, for example, to have a GitHub action, uh, automatically build the chart in the add-on contrib or lab repository and upload into here. And also there are some image like in the add-on contrib repo we have some images built, but currently it's also totally need a manual push to somewhere. So I think if we with more contributors, we might need some way to automate that, like create an issue with a label or something that will trigger the action to upload the Helm chart or push the image, or we have a periodic job to do that.
Yes, I think that's a great point. Yeah, I think that's definitely a gap that we have. But so with the with the GitHub action, you're saying if we can pick up some, I guess it's not in here. But I understand what you mean. With the workflow, hopefully there's a way to pick up some kind of syntax, and then we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
every
yeah.
but every build command, build image might have a different target name. So maybe
Right.
then we have to define like some kind of standard or whatever. I mean, if we get to that big, you know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can just make the the labs org, right? Then it solve all our problems. Right? If we ever get that big, we
Yeah.
we make the lab org, and then each project have their own individual repo. Then it's no, then that's address Shujao's concern, addresses your concern as well, and then
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kisha. I'll write that as a note as well. Any other comment, feedback?
Just want to see. I like the logo of the lab repo. Did you design it?
Yeah, obviously I use AI to generate it. It took a few tries.
Uh,
I asked, hey, look at the Argo Project Labs, and then I fed it the OCM logo, and I told him, hey, put the do something similar, put the to the Flaster. It took a few try, and then it got there. Yeah.
cool.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing, and I think I'll pass it to Q Zhang if you want to talk a little bit, just a little bit about 1.0, if you want.
Oh yeah. Okay. Um. Let me give me 1 minute. Oh, so yes, I'm very happy to say that we are mostly going to release 1.0. We have tagged release in the API repo and OCM repo. So you in general should be able to get the 1.0 images and Helm chart from the Helm chart repo to install the 1.0 release. And there is one additional work that I need to do is on the cluster EDM to tag also the 1.0 release. And then we will be able to create a release note and some release announcement on the 1.0 release. So this is a very great release because we have many features that we prepared, and almost all the features has been completed, not complicated, completed in the quite tight schedule. So that also including the auto about API support, and the way that we can sync the labels from the class manager to all the controllers on the hub for the better operation and monitoring of the resources that has been deployed by the OCM controllers. And there's also the custom cluster claim configurations that you can more easily to set up the number of cluster claim that you want to put into the managed cluster, and you can also set some system-wide cluster claim, define some system-wide cluster claim. And we add a deletion policy for the manifest work replica set. And also there's a big feature that from BigQuery that is to introduce workload conditions. So you can now specify to set up the status conditions in the manifest work, like the degraded condition or other kind of the customized type the conditions using a CEL expression. So, for example, it is possible today to set up the degraded condition in manifest work saying this deployment is degraded, and you can write a CL saying when the deployment replica is not equal to the ready is smaller than the ready replica, the ready replica is smaller than the desired replicas in the deployment, I will set the degraded conditions with certain reason. So that is become possible with this feature, and that will also in the future help us to monitor the manifest work status easily and enhance the add-on framework to understand the add-on status more easily. And also there is a feature about the placement. We also add a placement CL into the common expression language CL expressions in the placement. So in the placement, you also can use CL to filter the clusters with a more complicated way, like what's a larger version, filter me with a certain version range of the Kubernetes, and pass some cluster claim using JSON and filter the cluster with a certain field in the cluster claim. That's also become possible. So I think that's a very good release, and we will send the release announcement next week. And really thanks for everyone that has been contributed to this release, and we think this is will be a very production ready release for now. And I have seen a lot of contributors in the OCM and API repos, and many new contributors. So thank you everyone. And I'm very proud of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kujan. That's really great. Yeah, I want to say thank you to the whole community as well. Everyone that's been on this call, as well as all the external contributors. Actually, they're not external. As a community, we're all internal. We're internal to the community, but I want to thank all the new contributors that are coming in and really push us over to the 1.0 release. So thank you all. Okay, I think that wraps it up for this week's community meeting.
Oh, sorry. Just another thing. Sorry for the interrupt. So we have a message on the Slack channel about enabling the AI code review on the I think 2 weeks ago, and asking for whether any objections, any +1, -1, or any suggestions, or using CodeRabbit or some other AI review AI code review tools. So based on the result, I think we will go with CodeRabbit. I haven't quite thoroughly tested that, but I will enable it next week. So you will see some AI code review comments starting from next week. So I think starting as a starting point, it might have some false alarm, but we will check and whether we could add some kind of the guidelines of the review guidelines in the repo to let the AI agent to read and based on the guideline to do the review comments. So please don't feel bothered by the AI agent at the starting point. We will try to try to improve it day by day. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Sounds good, Kushan. Kind of look forward to that as well. Thank you. Okay, I think that wraps it up. Thank you everyone for joining this week. See you all next time. Take care.